Long ago, in the ancient kingdom of Judah, there lived a king named Hezekiah. Unlike many rulers before him, Hezekiah was different. He was young, courageous, and walked closely with God. While others had led Judah into idolatry and ruin, Hezekiah tore down the high places, reopened the temple, and called the nation back to true worship. His heart burned for the Lord, and under his leadership, Judah began to rise again, not in power alone, but in purpose. Then came a moment that would define him forever. The mighty Assyrian Empire came knocking, an empire feared across the known world. Cities fell like leaves in the wind, and now Jerusalem was surrounded. But Hezekiah didn't panic. Instead, he took the enemy's threatening letter, went up to the temple, and laid it before God. He prayed, not for fame, not for survival alone, but so that all the kingdoms of the earth would know that the Lord alone is God. And God responded. In the dead of night, without a sword raised, an angel of the Lord swept through the Assyrian camp. By morning, 185,000 soldiers lay still, and the great army fled in shame. Jerusalem stood untouched. Hezekiah's faith had called down heaven's power. But just when triumph seemed complete, tragedy came quietly. Hezekiah fell deathly ill. And then the prophet Isaiah appeared with a message from God that must have shattered him. Set your house in order, for you will die and not recover. This warrior king, this faithful servant, now faced the end, not on a battlefield, but alone in a quiet room. He turned his face to the wall and wept. He poured out his heart, reminding God of his devotion, his tears, his years of service. And once again, God responded. Before Isaiah had even left the palace courts, God sent him back. I have heard your prayer, he said. I have seen your tears. I will heal you. And I will add 15 years to your life. It was a miracle. A second chance. Time itself turned back, literally, as the shadow on the sundial moved in reverse, a sign from heaven that this was no illusion. But what do we do with time we didn't expect to have? In those 15 years, Hezekiah became a father. His son, Manasseh, was born, and that child would grow to be one of the most wicked kings Judah had ever seen. He built altars to false gods, desecrated the temple, and filled the streets with blood. Though he repented late in life, the damage was deep. The darkness he brought would echo through generations. And then there was the visit from Babylon. Curious about the miracle, foreign envoys came to see the king who had been healed. Instead of pointing them to the God who saved him, Hezekiah proudly showed them his wealth, his gold, silver, treasures, armory. Everything. It was a moment of pride, not praise. And again, Isaiah returned, not with healing this time, but with a warning. One day, all that you have shown them will be taken away to Babylon. Even your descendants will be carried off. And what did Hezekiah say? At least there will be peace and security in my time. It's a heartbreaking moment. The man who once pleaded for life now seemed content with comfort. The fire of earlier days had faded. And so we ask, what if Hezekiah had died when God first said? Manasseh would not have been born. Babylon may not have seen Judah's wealth. Perhaps, the future wouldn't have crumbled in the same way. But God knew all this. And still, he gave Hezekiah 15 more years. Because God isn't just sovereign, he is relational. He listens to our prayers. He lets us be part of the story. Even when we don't understand, even when we make mistakes, his plan continues. He redeems. He weaves light through darkness. And here's the most incredible part, Manasseh, despite all his wickedness, was part of the royal line that would lead, one day, to Jesus Christ. Through the ashes of broken choices, God was still writing a story of salvation. So what does this teach us? Pray boldly, like Hezekiah. Trust deeply, even when God says no. And above all, remember this, God's plan is always best. Always. even when we don't see it. Even when we don't understand. Even when we ask for something different. Because the author of time sees what we cannot. If this story moved you, if it gave you something to think about, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of faith, truth, and the God who never stops working, even in the shadows. Until next time, keep trusting His plan.